Alright, so this is our next project. This is the end result of it. And I'm going to walk you through just some of the stuff that you can do to kind of get this stuff like lined up and tucked together nice and neat. Um, but this is going to be the aim of the end result. So I'm going to make a new document, and I'm going to make it 8 inches by 8 inches by 300 dots per inch. Call it Sarcona mermaid 01. It's always good to save iterations. I've said it before, in case something crashes or whatever. You never know. Alright, so blank page. First thing I like to do is get the background. And if you looked at this one, you can see that we have this image here. Okay, so you can see like these little things here are part of this image. And then there's also a rock here, and there's also some other stuff in here. So this background is actually a compilation of several images too. Remember, this is a Photoshop assignment, so the more stuff you add to this, the better it's going to be as far as grade goes and as far as showing off your Photoshop abilities. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here. Obviously, it's like crazy big, so I hit Control T and I scale it down. Now I hold Shift to make sure I constrain it. I don't want this because then it's distorting it, and that's a no-no. Just because we aren't doing a specific assignment on that doesn't mean you can forget all the stuff that we did before. So something like that. Good. Close that image. And I'm not going to go exactly with what that one was. I'm just going to try to find that was it. Okay. This image here, bring that in. Copy it. Paste it. Shrink it down to size. Okay. And I did have this other rock here, which is actually this rock that I moved over there. When I say this is actually someone else's project. That's what they did. Okay. So we have this, and obviously we need to figure out how to get the two pieces to match. So what I need to do is cut this out and then pop it over there. Okay. You can see that there's basically the sand from this is inside here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And if I need to adjust things, I'll adjust things. That's no big deal. So I'm going to go with the pen tool because hard objects like this, pen tool works great. Now, ideally, you want to just follow that contour. You want to follow the line in there without putting in 7 million points. The goal anytime you're using the pen tool is as few points as possible. So I'm just putting these at the parts where we have a shape change. And sometimes things look straight, so I drew this point and that point, and I realized this wasn't straight, so I added a point in the middle and just scooted it over. Alright, now that I'm outside, I can just kind of cut this like so. Alright, so I'm just going to go to my paths, do path, okay, and this is the right rock, and I'm going to separate these into separate pieces just so I can play with them individually. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to control click right rock. I'm going to feather it just a touch, and then put a layer mask on it. Same process we've done before. So there's that rock just sitting there like that. Now obviously this rock needs to blend in better with the background. That's part of our Photoshop work. Alright, so here's this. So I'm going to cut out this side now. And it didn't help me that I started way back there. I'm debating about this rock back here. I think I'll put it in. If I need to, I can always take it out. It's the great thing about using Photoshop is that we have so much freedom. If you think about if you had these images as just like pieces of paper, you really couldn't do a whole lot to them that you could do in Photoshop. Not without a whole lot of work. I don't think I want to go that route. I'm going to cut that flower off and go here. These rocks in the front, they're just good borders for our image. There's a good way to just frame them. Everything that you would learn in a photography class as far as how to take a picture, all those things apply to how you compose a picture while you're in Photoshop. Yeah, I like this little flower here. And these little things that kind of stick out, they're always a good way to give a little bit more dimension to your stuff. Instead of these just like flat rock on left, flat rock on right. Now we have this little bit of design work. And what we can also do with these is I could take pieces of these things and copy them and put them wherever really I wanted to. And a couple times my pen tool seems to be stopping the path, so I just click on that last point again and then resume it. Alright, so let's just see how this is going to look. There we go. Left rock. Control click. We're on this layer now. Feather a couple pixels. Layer mask. There we go. Okay, so now we have this rock here, we have that rock there. I may have cut it a little too close up here. Nope, it's just my display. There's a little white line right there. Alright, so now I have this, I have that. This rock might need to be adjusted. This rock definitely needs to be adjusted. Okay, and that's another good reason to kind of cut these things out separately, is that I can adjust just this rock by itself. Alright, so let me get that rock set up. So I'm going to go to my layer, my adjustment layers. I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to start with the levels. Okay, now I held Alt after I clicked this button, so it didn't link it just to the one below it. Okay, I can see that because there's no little arrow pointing down. So I hold Alt here, and then click, and now there's a little arrow pointing down, so it means it's only affecting this layer. Alright, so I'm going to just take this and just adjust some of the coloring on it. Like that. So there it was before, really washed out. Now you've got a little more color to it. I think too, I may want to I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to keep it there, and then I'm going to add another one. Hold Alt, click, click, come on. And then go to Hue and Saturation. Use previous layers of the big mask. Okay, so I'm just going to continue working with this as best I can just to kind of get the coloring here. Now I have a couple issues. One, this area here is a bit more vivid than this up here. This definitely looks like it's more washed out than this should be. So I may need to come back after with some adjustments. Okay, there we go. I could also adjust the background and then hence adjust this to kind of match. Like if I did a colorize on here and made it blue, I did a colorize in the background and made that blue, and they would match better. So I'm just going to keep playing with this until I get it into that realm that I like. I think something like that looks kind of cool. Alright, so I don't want to have this rock be that color and then the other rock be a different color. So I'm just going to duplicate my hue and saturation and scoot it down here and just link it to this rock also. Okay, and I think I'll take that back rock out. I really don't like that back rock. So I'm going to go with the pen tool and just outline this rock. I'm not selecting anything here. Photoshop is so versatile in what we can do. We don't want a rock, we can just take it out. We don't want a person in there, we can just take it out, just like we did in our other one. Just because the assignment's over doesn't mean we can forget all those steps that we did in previous assignments. Those are the steps that are leading us up to this assignment. Rocks are always good to outline because you have so many different facets in different directions. If you mess up a little bit, it's not going to kill you. Alright, that looks good. Swap that out. No, I'm going to go down this route. That's the problem with zooming in on these though. Lose sight of where you're trying to go. Come on. I don't really need to follow that. I just need to come out here and outline this thing. Oh, there we go. Alright. So this is delete rock bit. So control click this, a little feather, and then I can't do a layer mask on this again. I can do a vector mask, but I don't want to. What I want to do is just fill black in here. So I'm just going to fill with black, and that gets rid of that. Okay, so now these rocks look like they're more pleasantly in here and matching. Now this rock is a bit green, so I'm just going to go here and maybe adjust this. Add that into a little bit more green. There we go. Still looks good. I like the way that's looking. If I need to do any color adjustments, I can always add some color on top of this too. So I'm starting to get already messy, so let me start labeling things. Right rock. Okay, and then I'm going to start grouping these into groups, foreground rocks, background. Good. Okay. Now I'll probably adjust the background more. I'll probably adjust these foreground rocks more, but for now they're good. So do group from layers, background. Alright, so now that's nice and organized, nice and neat. Alright, so now what we can do is start adding the mermaid in here. And you can see, if I look here, obviously we have a face, we have different hair, we have this body, we have these fins. So this is all like a compilation of different images. So this image here is actually this image. Oops, wrong one. But you see that the hair is a bit different. This is her hair here, but then there's added that extra watery kind of hair that would happen if she's underwater. Okay, and obviously her stomach is here, or not here, but in this one her stomach is. Okay, so that's actually another image somewhere in the ranks. Okay, so we'll get to that when we get to it. So I'm going to bring in her first. Copy her. I'm going to paste her and place her. Paste and place. And so far I really haven't destroyed anything. Everything that I've been using I've scaled up or scaled down, but I mean I have all my original pixels. If I wanted to get any of this stuff back, I could always get back to the original. And that's how you always want to work. I haven't deleted anything. I haven't erased a single thing. Alright, so now to lay her out, let's go in here. And even though she's not a rock, I would still use the pen tool to outline her out. If she was on a white background, I might be able to get away with using something like Magic Wand or some of the other selection tools. But most of the time you're going to jump right to the pen tool just because of how much precision you get. Now I don't really care about the lower half of her because that's going to be replaced. So I'm just going to kind of loop this around here. Oops, I lost my pen. If you ever see your path just stopping working, that means you've lost your pen tool. So you just click on that last point with the pen tool and then Shazam. Okay, now this is going to be replaced too, but I'm just going to outline it for now. I don't need to get too close to it. And there's her hair. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because her hair is it's like wavy. I can't really outline this with the pen tool, so I'm just going to go around her chest here. Oops. And typically with hair, I try to pull it using some of the other selection tools, or if it comes down to it, I'll use the paintbrush and go in and paint it. It's not too bad when you have to do it to a single image. In compositing, sometimes you would have to go through and do that to multiple images, just because that's the only way to get a good selection of hair. Now there's also a little hole right here. I can outline that with the pen tool as well, or I can come back later and paint it. I'll probably outline it with the pen tool just so I have it all in one shot. And this is definitely going to be much more accurate than trying to go through with just a layer mask and just trying to paint this entire thing. You see how I'm just cutting off all those little strays. All of that stuff I can always come back later and add, but for my main mask, you never use the pen tool to get all that detail. I'm just going to pause the video and come back. Alright, so now I have our upper body outlined. So I can say upper body. And I can control click. And a little bit of a feather. And a layer mask. And now she's floating in space. Okay, so I can close this window. Alright, so now the next part of this is that I'm going to scoot over a little bit. I want to get the rest of her body parts in there. Alright, so we have this torso that I brought in, and I'm just going to blend it in with that one. I did do a little bit of manipulation. Here's the original. I just kind of manipulated it to fit our model better. So I'm going to have to go to my layer mask, and I duplicated it. I'm going to duplicate it again just in case I mess up. Go in with my brush. What it is. And I'm just going to go in with the black, somewhat hard brush. Just try to blend that in there and there. There you go. Now it doesn't match perfectly, but it's not going to match perfectly. That's fine. I'm going to duplicate layer 1, which is my model. And I'm just going to erase some of this stuff back here. Go back to this. Do a little more erasing. There we go. So now we have a torso. There's a tattoo there, so I'm going to take the tattoo off. And in this case, let's just try using one of our other tools. Just marquee this. There we go. And then do a fill content aware. There we go. Cleaned it right up. Alright, so that's good there. The next thing I have is the hair. Now in this case you see the hair is on the white background, so this should be pretty easy to pull out, especially with the black hair on a white background. So select color range, white, adjust my fuzziness, hit OK. And now if I invert this, not invert, if I just delete, I have to double click my background layer, then hit delete. There we go. And then I can see what this is going to look like. If I zoom in close, you can see I have taken the hair out. Now this one actually did destroy it, so I'm just going to hit undo because I was just testing it first. So let me get my selection back. Click the white, 104, and color range. Oops. Select invert first. I'm going to do a feather of only 1 pixel, and then layer mask. And then I'm just going to copy this layer to my Sarcona mermaid. Alright, so there it is. Now I can, if I need to, go into my mask options for the properties and go to there we go. I had to click on that first, then go to mask edge, and I can adjust my edge slightly. There we go. That way it brings it in. And obviously I don't need the actress, I just need the hair, so I can adjust that by painting. I need those, I just need those strands in the top. Alright, now this is going to go behind my girl, so I'm going to put this back there. I'm going to hit Control T, scale it down. I think I'd like it here. Get rid of some of that. There we go. So now it looks like it's kind of floaty, maybe a little bit too big. There we go. I could also use, if I needed to, this is the hair here. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to apply the layer mask. Come on. There you go. Apply layer mask. And then under the liquefy, I can just kind of pull some of these things out. Bigger brush. Just kind of exaggerates some of that movement. There we go. Now obviously those don't match either. Again, we'll fix it. Now I need to save this one. Alright. I'm doing a lot of this quick because that's how it should be. It should be just quick stuff, just getting it in here. Before I start playing with this, let me go and manipulate some of these. This is all backup stuff here. I need to keep all my backup stuff kind of organized together. Alright, this is the torso. The head and arms, and this is going to be the tail portion, or part of the tail. Something like that, but longer and kind of wavy. We'll adjust it. So I'm going to use the pen tool again to cut the fish out. I'm skipping that tail because a mermaid wouldn't have that tail. And I'm going to skip this tail too. I have a fancier tail. There we go. So here's our fish. And control click the fish. Feather him a little bit. Layer mask on him. And now I can manipulate him to get him to look the way I want him to look. So I'm just going to hit Control T, and I'm going to hold the Control key and just push on these corners until I get these top pieces lined up. Oops. And then pull down here. Pull down there. I may have to zoom out some. Okay, so that's part of it. And then the other part is let me duplicate this so I don't destroy it too much. I'm going to go to Puppet Warp. And in here, what I can do is if I click on some of these points like here and here, there we go, those are locked in place. And so now I can click another point in the middle and pull it this way. Then click another point down here and pull it that way. So you can see how much freedom this tool gives me to kind of manipulate the shape of this. There we go. So hit enter, and now we have this nice rounding here inside the mermaid. This will be her tail. I'll have to create some sort of lineup here just to kind of make this look nice and neat. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here, go to my brush, and make sure this is a bit harder. There you go, so something like that. And then close him, close that. And then for the tail, oh, this is one of the raw things I was going to try. Alright, that one looks good. So I'm going to open this one in Photoshop, copy it, paste it. I'm actually going to invert it like that, and then rotate it, and place it about where it should be. And then this one, I'm going to go through and basically just put a layer mask on it and just start cutting it out. This is going to be pretty manual as far as the tail goes, just because of all the individual shapes that are inside here. Now, I want to make sure I go kind of slow so I don't get a bunch of dotted lines. To make sure you take some time with this one. Alright, so I'm going to cut this out and I'll be back.